So I want to point that out to show you that when you pick up a book, even when you go upstairs on your way out and you may pick up a book or just read through it, the first thing you'll see is Rahotep and Nefret. And you will not see some of the other African pharaohs that have been systematically taken out of the Cairo Museum. I remember back in 1985, he's no longer in the Cairo Museum. You see? He was there in 1985, but he's no longer here today.
Do we know where he's at?
No, I haven't found him yet. But I'm saying how Europeans systematically design Egyptology for people when they open up books to give you the impression that this is a white civilization. So you have to understand how the corruption, how Europeans are systematically trying to guide the minds of the people by putting images and representations of people there in front of us to make us think that this is the only way they looked. And that was not the case, and that's what I'm trying to put emphasis on here. One of the things that recently happened in the United States I want to bring to your attention, those of you who have gone to Las Vegas, Nevada, have recently witnessed where they have built a replica, or tried to build a replica of Horm Akhet, one of the most ancient colossals, not only built right here on the African continent, but the most ancient colossal on the planet Earth. And they made him with blue eyes and white skin. And not one word is said that this is an African architectural structure. And even put a pyramid, and they even have Tut's hut. So the sad thing is that people from all over the world go here, and not one word is mentioned that this is an African architectural structure. Not one word is mentioned that this belongs to African people. And the sad thing is that many Africans who go there and spend their money don't even realize it themselves. And the rooms are called Tut's hut. As Dr. John Henry Clark, another Grand Master teacher of ours, would say, that which is sacred to us has been desecrated. And not only has it been desecrated, but we have been taught to laugh at its desecration. That's a shame. All people who are a people must preserve their ancient sites. For us to be a people, we must have something that is ancient that belongs to us. So when you look up at the face of Horm Akhet, you can see where Napoleon, who came here in 1798 and had 21 cannon, his generals, line up 21 cannons and blow the nose off. And George Washington, who was part of the Illuminati, Benjamin Franklin, and Andrew Jackson. That's why they named Memphis, Tennessee off of Memphis, where we're going in a few minutes, trying to design from the Grand Masters. So they know they were stealing the people from the African continent and stealing the knowledge as well. So let's go up on the high wall and see more of Horm Akhet and deal more in depth with the history, the true history of this Grand Master who came up out of pre-dynastic Egypt. Not the 4th dynasty, but pre-dynastic, who was part of the real Horus king, who was deified as a god. The first deification as God as a man. We're at one of the most spectacular sites right here, and that is Horm Akhet, who the Greeks call the Sphinx, over 240 feet long and over 65 feet high. Keep in mind, if you look at his ears, 6 feet tall, that means you can stand inside of his ears. Look how massive this colossal is. Standing here from the dawn of time, who the Arabs call him Abu Hal, or meaning the Great Father. And truly the Great Father of time. And now, through documentation and excavations, some have even documented that Horm Akhet may go back to the time of the Badarian Age. Reconstruction have taken place down through the ages. Many European Egyptologists have said that this is Khafra of the 4th dynastic period. But if you look at the prognathous jaw, he looks nothing like Horm Khafra. Let's go and see, as I said, in pre-dynastic times, representing the Shimsu Haru, let's go back and see who Horm Akhet goes back to. With a little Twa, who our ancestors, even known as the Sebenetos, who was during that time of the pre-dynastic period known as the Twa, and even Bes. That's where you see his origins go back to, who the Africans built this. So here we have all proof and documentation of where the origin of Horm Akhet, and all who comes before him, like the Europeans you see here, have to look up at this and see the beginning when Napoleon was documented in Los Angeles Times, that when Napoleon visited the Sphinx in 1798, everything but the head had been buried in sand, although his soldiers reputedly used the head for target practice.
This particular piece was found in a German workshop. It had no cartouches bearing her name, and it was found in the early 1920s by German excavators. But it looks nothing like this version of Nefertiti, which was found on the walls of Tel Armana, which was actually the city of Akhenaten. But yet this one has been claimed to be Nefertiti, meaning the beautiful one has come, and is supposed to be the most beautiful woman who ever lived. When in actuality, if we look at Nefertiti, this was the portrait of Nefertiti. Also, the daughters, notice the head on the daughters, and it's the elongated head. Well, many Europeans said that that elongated head was a deformity. But when we look at the sister from Zaire, we see she has the same shape in her head. It goes back to the daughters of Akhenaten. Some serious hair, huh? Looks just like the hair on our heads today. So if anybody tries to tell you that Egypt is a white civilization, you can point out this hair. So those of you who have your cameras, you want to make sure you take a good picture of it. But this is what Gaston Maspero, an Egyptologist, said about the hair in the Nile in Egypt. He says the hair was inclined to be wavy and even to curl into little ringlets, but without ever turning into the wool of the Negro. But take a look at that hair. It looks like the wool, looks like wool, doesn't it? This is a picture of the hair that's on a figure that was found. So you can see what the person looks like and what the hair looks like. I don't know any European that could claim that hair. And so you know you have to have a serious comb to get through something like that. But you know what, brothers, by the way, some hair curlers even were found in Luxor, where we're going tomorrow, dating back over 3,000 years ago. So when you see those sisters with that head full of hair curlers, she's actually practicing an ancient African fashion tradition. Okay? So come on up and get a good look at the hair. Okay, the word for earring is shaku. And so this is a style of earring that Tutankhamun and other Nubians wore. They came from Queen T, who popularized this style of earring. Now what's happening now is Liz Taylor's copying the same style of earring and making them part of her Egyptian style collection. But not just the earrings. Take a look in here, because there's a bracelet that's called a minifret. And when Amos was crowned king, his mother, Ahotep, wore this bracelet. And so while he was the one who was trying to drive the Hyksos out of our land and preserve our culture, Liz Taylor's now trying to rip it off. And here's that bracelet, making millions of dollars off of it. Never get it right. Taking everything we have.
Now you can see the grandeur of African people, brothers and sisters, like looking at this grand master right here, Amenhotep III. Amenhotep III was known in the 18th dynasty as the grand master builder during his time. And when we get into Upper Egypt, you're going to see the temple that he also built on too. You're going to see the lotus columns that he also built in Luxor. But as you look in the courtyard of Luxor, you'll see some toothpick columns that the Romans built. And when you look at these toothpick columns and you see the columns that Amenhotep III built, you'll see who truly was the grand master builder during his time was Amenhotep III. And I think it's only right that the queens, that my wife should speak on the queens.
This is the beautiful Nubian queen known as Queen T. She was the wife of Amenhotep III, like my husband just mentioned. And the woman, the sister, was such a beautiful queen that he took her by his side, put her into roles in the government. So the sister participated in the government in Kemet. And when the brother's health started failing, foreign diplomats corresponded with the queen. And then the queen even became the first Secretary of State in Kemet for her son, Amenhotep IV, or known as Akhenaten, when he chose not to take care of governmental duties. Now the brother loved the queen so much that he built a lake for her, an ornamental lake, 1 mile long and a fifth of a mile wide, known as Lake of Tea, and built a temple for her in Nubia, showing the connection between her homeland, Nubia, and Kemet. So this is the beautiful queen known as Queen T. And if you notice on the top of her headpiece, she's got the double uraeus up there, and that means that she ruled Upper and Lower Egypt.
Our African ancestors, brothers and sisters, saw the matrilineal system. Keep in mind that all the kings had to come through the line of the woman. Is that right? That's right. What man can say he didn't come from a woman? Please step forward so we can understand where you came from. So our ancestors had no problems understanding that divine principle of that sacred womb where we all came from. That was the basis and foundation of the goddess principle and the matrilineal system in Africa. And our ancestors saw, in order for the king to rule the throne, like you have Ursa Ma'at here, the goddess Sheshat. Here you see her in the tree of divine wisdom, giving the fruit of divine knowledge and wisdom in order for him to rule the throne. It had nothing to do with no tree of good and evil. The patriarchs who came from the north, the Hyksos and others, who had a misogynistic nature, a hatred towards the woman, could not conceive of a woman nor a goddess giving a man anything. And that story was corrupted. The tree of divine wisdom and divine life was corrupted into the tree of what? Because here we have that they created in their biblical stories in the opening of the pages in Genesis that there was Adam and Eve, is that right? And they were not to eat of the tree of what? Knowledge of what? Good and evil. Now who was seduced by the serpent and ate from the tree? That's why, sisters, you got to watch and hear that sound. Psst. But anyway, here we see that she was seduced to eat the fruit, and then she seduced who? Adam. Now we are told that that's the reason for the world's sins of this first woman eating of the tree of good and evil, and that that's also not only the reason for the world's sins, but her monthly cycle is to remind her of that sin. This is what's taught in the church. Okay? Now when sisters start jacking that preacher up, who's been equally spiritually enslaved himself, to tell that story, and that we were born in sin, there was no story whatsoever in the Kemetic Nile Valley that we were born in sin. So a few years ago, back in 1988, boy, time is fast. Seemed like I just got this yesterday. Brother and sister showed me, they said, hey, brother, Quasi, you see, there was a black Adam and Eve. Although they made a black Adam and Eve, that has nothing to do with our story. This is what we see the evolutionists and creationists fighting each other, and they know anthropological studies that black people were first, so they put a black Adam and Eve, and gave Adam a jerry curl, and gave Eve a weave. You know, they had to be looking good for each other back then, you know. But it had nothing to do with our story, brothers and sisters. Even though they make it black to make you accept it, this is not still an African story. The African story is the goddess Sheshat giving the fruit of divine life from the tree of divine life and wisdom in order for the king to rule the throne. And this goddess concept was corrupted throughout the whole African Nile Valley, and even in our spiritual subconscious, even today, where we are told that the sisters are the ones, women are the ones for the world's sins. This is the demonization of women and the hatred of women. This is part of the sexism that you get in the theologians. Even in Paul, it says that women shouldn't even speak in the church. But I'm letting you know that that is not the African spiritual way, brothers and sisters. We had a god and a goddess. That's a spiritual Ma'atian law that our ancestors saw. Okay? So let's understand that there was no rib, by the way, in the African creation story taken from the man to make the woman. That didn't exist. They were created simultaneously. So we did not have no story, but all of us got a navel where the umbilical cord was severed from our mothers, where we all came from. But until we get back to the true spirituality of understanding our divine balance of African men and African women, we'll forever be a victim in somebody else's racist, theological story, and the victimization of sisters where we cannot see our divine balance in the universe. Hotel. And you know the story is corrupted anyway because, as they said, there was only Adam and Eve, and then they created a son named who? Cain and Abel. And Cain went out to the land of Nod and found what? They haven't been able to explain that story yet. And then the racist theologians will tell you that was the sub-Negroid race. No, African people had a great kingdom long before their Adam and Eve story that they created and corrupted from the goddess Aset and Asar from right here in Kemet, right here in Egypt where you are. These stories are told. This is a book in stone. That's why they carved endlessly so it could not be revised. You see the ark already back there. How could the Ark of Covenant that the Jews say that Jehovah God is the portable God house and you got it right here? That they're carrying? And we are taught to go to Jerusalem and not to come back here to Kemet. We look at Jerusalem as being the Holy Land, not Kemet as being the Holy Land. This was the original Holy Land. This was the original Taneter land. I know that may be hard for some of us, but 400 years of indoctrination, you have to look at yourself as a victim. And we have been a victim. But we have continuous stories. So this is a book in stone. You could have a few minutes to take your pictures of the goddess Shishat and go back and tell the story. Show it to the preachers. Show it to the ministers. We want to get to the root of these stories, and you've come halfway around the world, back to the African Nile Valley, and witnessed where they've copied and manipulated these stories from you. We want to get to the root of the story, and the root of the story was no Eve, but it was in fact Shishat, giving divine knowledge and wisdom. See, the only story that we have when a story regurgitates up is what white folks put in our psyche. But now the real psychological warfare is going to take place now because you are here. You're witnessing on the temples now, Shishat and the tree of life and many other concepts that we have shown, and that's down in your psychic. So when you hear the Garden of Eden, what's going to trigger in your mind right back here? I saw Shishat. And it was nothing. That's what's going to trigger. That's what's going to activate. But if you have nothing down in your psychic to fight that, then you can only accept that which has been told to you. What you see behind me is not a spaceship that landed and happened and didn't make it back. Okay. What you see right there is the boat of Khufu. That is his solar boat. This boat is 140 feet long, longer than Captain Cook's boat. When this boat was excavated in 1954 in a pit, over 1,200 pieces, the boat was dismantled. And they took 1,200 pieces to reconstruct this boat of Khufu. Now, what was the purpose of this boat? This boat was called the Nuank. What is the Nuank? What was the Nuank? The flooding of the Nile was called the Nuank. Now, when the Nile flooded, it was Khufu who realized that he could take his solar astral journey through the Nile to the celestial Nile, that was the Milky Way, to take him back to his father, Asar. So the Milky Way was looked at as the celestial Nile, like the earthly Nile. So it was the Nuank that took him back. That was the purpose of his boat. That later it was corrupted into Noah's Ark. Noah's Ark was taken from the Nuank. This is where it came from. Here's all the animals of the world doing the number 1, number 2, and everything. They just tell us any kind of stories. That's why they can only give you a picture of the story. But yet this flood was supposed to have taken place because we are told that God in the Bible said that he was tired, that because in Genesis chapter 1 through 6, the sons of God married the daughters of men. Is that right? This is where we were at fault in Kemet because we married foreign women on our African throne. Although we would never marry none of our own to the foreigners because they were goddesses. Here during the 5th dynasty, this African king is called Sahara. Now, here's the first time that we get a concept called Sa-Ra. Sa-Ra means the son of God. They were the sons of God in Kemet, marrying the daughters of men onto the throne of Kemet. This is where you get the concept in Genesis chapter 1, where the sons of God married the daughters of men, was taken from ancient Kemet. Brothers and sisters, here we have holy texts, holy writings. We've gone into Unis's pyramid. We've gone into Teti's pyramid. Spiritual writing, when the Sahu, the spiritual body, astral projected. This is long before biblical text was even in existence.
See, this is what I'm talking about. And see, we've given all of our resources, energy, money, to this God. And not one of y'all in here, nowhere, can prove a God. Nobody. Back it up, nigga, call him up. Call him up. Get him on the phone. Part the sky, say something. You see, y'all, it's never been done. So, you know, it ain't really no debate for me. You can go off in the corner and speak to yourself. I used to talk to God, and I woke the fuck up, period. Most of you know, when you talking to God in your head, I'll be talking to God. I remember back in the day, I was trying to be divine. I was trying to be righteous. And I would talk to God and say, Father, my Father. And in my mind, I could hear a voice say, yes, my son. Yes, my son. And I'll hold the conversation for maybe a minute. And then I say, Seti, get your stupid ass up and get the hell on out of here. Because you answering for God. And you know you answering for God. That's what y'all got to understand. And so once you understand that religion is man-made, where's yours? Where's the books that say we chose? What happened?
Right.
These crackers, when they came in, they burnt our books. They chiseled on our walls and desecrated our temples. And then demonized Egypt to the world. Let me go ahead, man, because I don't care about this. Cracker, nigga can't do nothing to me. I'm just gonna be real. That nigga cannot do nothing to me. He have made everything beautiful in his time. Also, he have set the world in their heart, so no man can find out the work that God maketh from the beginning to the end. Listen to me now. So that no man can find out the work that God maketh from the beginning to the end. So what the hell is Genesis and what the hell is Revelations? Because ain't no man supposed to know that. Huh? I don't hear nobody say nothing. What is it? So that no man can find out the work that God maketh from beginning to end. And you got these niggas, they can't. Do anybody in here remember when they came through their mama's womb?
No.
So how the hell you gonna know the beginning of creation when you don't even know the beginning of self? You have to ask your mama. When you got parts of your own life where you have to ask the preceding generation, what happened? And so you got niggas that can go way back and they act like they walking through Egypt. They act like they was really there. Nigga ain't been nowhere. Half these niggas won't even go to the local museum. But now, oh Lord, thou art our Father. We are the clay, and thou art potter. We are the work of thy hand. That's Canoon. That's Canoon molding man on a potter's wheel. But now, oh Lord, thou art our Father. We are the clay, and thou art potter. We are all the work of thy hand. They stealing off of the walls of our ancestors, creating this garbage. Okay, I ain't gonna read that one, because that one might be too hard for y'all. Let me go back to that. Ethiopia and Egypt were her strength, and it was infinite. Punt and Lubim were thy helpers. Princes shall come out of Egypt, Ethiopia. See, this is the cheese. Y'all gonna say, oh man, see what it's saying? That's the cheese. That's what they gonna lead you with. Oh man, look, Ethiopia, Egypt. Look, and can you understand? Princes shall come out of Egypt, Ethiopia. As soon as you accept it, then you accept also the genocide on our people. Okay? And most people don't even read the Bible. They won't even read the damn Bible. They let that damn chicken-licking preacher get up there and just talk and talk and talk, and then you go over auntie house, granny house, damn Bible been sitting on the damn table so long that the damn pages it was on then turned brown. Let you know nigga ain't turned it not one time. Okay, been sitting there. Niggas don't read. They like to be, because it's been trained since slavery that the preacher get up here and say, and he couldn't even damn read. Even if he had a Bible. Okay, even if he had a Bible. And people want to say that the Bible is so ancient, I tell you what, goddamn it, bring the original in the goddamn story. What the original at? Right. Because you have to have the original in order. How do you know when you're fucking up? But at the end of this lecture, y'all gonna go out there and y'all gonna break down just like this, brother. You mean to tell me all this damn time? You mean to tell me ain't no D? He ain't coming back to get us? Okay, let me go. And now, so these is, now this is original. This is not no digital. This is original. So this is our melanin. This is the black divinity. Black was the most powerful color in Africa to represent divinity. So you see, you got people that say black means death. That's men, the god of fertility. That ends that. That ends that, so it don't mean death. Silly asses. Talking about black mean death. So when you look at the head, the hairstyle, you can see the crown was made from the hairstyle. Why do I wear a do-rag? Because my hair's short. Why do rosters wear the big bag? Because they got long dreads. You wear your hats according to your hairstyle. You think that man here is low as mine and he gonna put that big ass hat on his head? And so you see where the black god of Sar came from. He came from the south. And anytime Egypt was attacked, that's where the push to come free Egypt came from. It always came from the south. Never came from no other direction. Okay? And now you see the Peckerwood has come in and stole our history. You mean to tell me y'all can't see that? I ain't got to talk y'all into that. Y'all know that shit fake. And so you see us, that's Amos Nefertari. She was the matriarch of the 18th dynasty, which was the most powerful dynasty in all of ancient Egypt's history. That's powerful. That's a statement. That's where the sisters got to look at their historical greatness. You know, y'all got to rise up. This is you, black woman. You the goddess of the universe. Your history is greater than any, even the black man. Ain't no nigga in here bigger than his mama. Ain't no nigga in here bigger than his mama. That's right. And so those deities became the black deities of Europe. They weren't first white. They was black. They had European features. But see, y'all got to understand. You see how niggas worship the white man? At one time, European people worshiped black people. And even when them other crackers went to try to change it white, just like you got niggas that'll run to that, don't you mess with my Jesus. You have certain crackers that did not want to change their deity from black to white. So they kept them black. The Black Madonna. The Black Madonna, the most holy icon in all of Christianity. And so you see, this is Diana, the Roman goddess. You understand what I'm saying? That's our set. And you see the halo back there, which is the sun. Let me keep moving. I got so much. And so they'll paint the devil black, but at the same time, just like this, whoever called that out, the most holy relic in all of Christianity is the Black Madonna and Child. You can see this, the psychosis this cracker going through. He know the reality. And this is Islam. Don't want to bang on the Arab. Don't want to bang on the Arab. He's disrespecting us so damn bad over there. Don't want to bang on the Arab. But even though he'll go and paint the devil black, he also got a psychosis, because the most sacred relic in all of Islam is the black stone, the El Ruki. It's a wound. It's a wound. You can look at it and see it. Okay? And so when you talking about the black, Egypt is the most profound country that the black woman can go to and see her greatness. That's the temple of Hatshepsut. Where else do you see women, I don't care what color, with those type of monuments? Nowhere. And this is to our credit, black man. We built that for the queen. We built that for the queen. So, sister, we got some good in us. We fell off, but we're going to get back up. And this is the temple of Heteru at Dendera. You don't see no temples. That's the golden calf that they was worshiping when they came up out of Egypt. And you see Moses take the 10 Commandments and shatter it. That was the fall of the black woman as God. Period. That was the fall of the black woman as God. When you just Google it, say a golden calf, and you're going to see that when Moses went up on the mountain, he stayed up there so long they thought he was dead. And they say, Aaron, make us a god. And he made them the golden calf. Okay? And so that showed and proved that when they was leaving Egypt, they was worshiping the black woman. They was worshiping the black woman. Yes, they was. And you got Merkabah Hatshepsut, 1479, 1458. These are the great queens. Yeah. The black woman is God. The black woman is God. When you come into existence, your eyes open, the first thing you're going to see is your mouth.